Hi, I'm Edward, and today I'm your presenter, and I'm going to go through the topic of the quadratic formula. Now, I'm going to first tell you what a quadratic is. Now, a quadratic equation is a quadratic which contains an x squared term. Now, I'm going to go through and tell you how to use the quadratic formula in this video. Now, I'm going to start off by giving you a vital information about how to solve it. Now, first things first, the general form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and it always has to equal 0 if you're going to use this equation. Now, I'm just going to give you an example. So, a, which is the coefficient of x squared, in this case 2, plus bx, which is the coefficient of just x, is 9, and c plus c, which is just a constant, in this case 14, all equals 0.
Okay, so that's just an example to illustrate A, B, and C. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. So now, this is the exciting bit, if you like.
Okay.
The formula, which is simply minus b plus or minus this sign here, means plus or minus.
Yes.
Root b squared minus 4 ac all over 2 times this.
2 times A.
2 times
okay.
A. Yes. Now, I'm going to give you an example which should hopefully put this into practice, which will put it into practice. Now, I'm going to give you a straightforward example, which is x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals 0. Now, make sure that you imagine that there's an invisible 1 if there's an x squared, if it's just on its own. So, if I do, now I'm going to use, it's just simple substitution now. So, it's just going to be minus b, which is 2, so it's going to be minus 2, plus or minus. Now on your calculator there's no plus or minus button, you'll just have to run it through with a plus and then run it through with a minus.
Okay, that's good, yeah.
And then it'll be root b squared, so
B was 2, yeah.
2 squared, minus 4 ac, so in this case
A was
1 times
and
minus 1.
C was minus 1, yeah. All over
2a.
which,
yep.
and A was 1.
A was 1. Now, if you go ahead and execute that, it will be x equals 0.41, and notice I've only rounded my answers to 3 significant figures, and x equals minus 2.41. Now, you can always check if your answers are correct by just substituting these values instead of x in the original equation. So if I was to say 0.41 blah 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 squared plus 2 0.41 blah 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 minus 1, and if I was to
drop those in, that would equal,
that would all equal 0, and that's the same for this one.
Okay, have we got another example?
We do indeed, yes.
Wonderful. So you're going to use your muscles as well as your brain now. Indeed. Yes. Okay. So example 2 coming up. You have to be fit to do maths, don't you?
Yeah.
It seems.
Certainly helps. Now I'm just going to go over a different scenario. So it is very likely that in an exam you'll be asked to solve a quadratic equation using the formula, which does not comply with the general form rule. So
I see that so you need to rearrange, yes?
Yes, you need to rearrange. Now,
how have you done that, Edward?
So yes, so I use a method called float and ping, which is simply floating the other side of the equals sign, and inversing the sign as I do so. So
10x becomes a minus 10x.
It does, and then so if I was to rearrange, it'd be, I'm going to go step by step and do 10x, which is 2x squared minus 10x, note the change of sign,
yes,
equals minus 4.
Okay.
Now, step 2 of the rearranging would be to swap the minus 4 over the equals sign, and minus 4 change the sign, it would just be plus 4.
So what do you end up with?
I end up with 2x squared minus 10x plus 4 equals 0.
And that is now in the
That is in the general form.
of
So
ax
now,
squared plus
now
bx plus c.
it is possible to run that through and do some substitution
So-
of the equation. Now, equation time.
So
So
x equals minus,
x equals minus b, so minus 10, which just equals positive 10, plus or minus b squared,
square root of b squared,
square root of b squared, minus 4 ac, so
okay,
2
so
times 4 inside
just run
the
through that
bracket.
again. Edward. The square root of b squared, and b was minus 10,
Yes,
minus, what was the next bit?
minus 4ac,
And a was,
2, and c was 4.
I see,
And all of this is over the denominator of 2a.
which was,
which
a was 2,
just,
yeah.
just 2 simply, so it's just going to be 4. Now if I was to go ahead and execute that, it would be x equals 4.56. Same again, I've rounded it to 3 significant figures, and x equals 0.44. And there are always 2 solutions, generally, in
to a quadratic,
equation,
yes.
because the index is 2, so there'll be 2 answers.
And if we drop those values into the original equation,
Yes, it will equal 0.
it would equal 0. Well done, Edward. That was
Yeah, and you can also test if you've rearranged it correctly by also substituting. So you can sort of put 2 4.56 squared
equals
minus, yeah, equals,
10 times
just do some playing around.
4.56 minus 4.
Yeah, and then
Right,
you
Edward.
can also test. You can do 2 on. You can test if you've rearranged it correctly, and you can see if your answers are right. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
It has indeed, Edward. Thank you so much indeed.